All rise.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, the Honorable Chancellors of the Chancery Courts of Davidson County, 20th Judicial District, State of Tennessee, finding it fit and proper to do so, meet in special session outside the courthouse at the request of the President and the Board of Directors of the Nashville Bar Association to entertain resolutions in memory of former members of the Nashville Bar Association recently deceased. All persons present are asked to draw nigh and give attention so the memorial resolutions to be presented may be heard. God save the Honorable Chancery Courts of Davidson County, the State of Tennessee, and these United States. The Honorable Patricia Head Moskal, Chancellor Part 1, presiding. Please be seated.
Good morning, and welcome to the Nashville Bar Association's 2025 Fall Memorial Service. Thank you to all of the family, friends, partners, and colleagues of those attorneys who have recently passed for coming today as we remember each of them and express our sympathy. Together, we will memorialize, celebrate, remember, and honor each attorney's life and career. On behalf of the 4 chancellors of the Davidson County Chancery Court, we are honored to sit together as one court today and preside over this special service in this beautiful church. I'm Chancellor Pat Moskal, and I am joined by Chancellors Ann Martin, Aisha Miles, and Russell Perkins. We are assisted today by our clerk and master, Maria Salas, who opened today's court session. The NBA holds this memorial service twice each year, in the spring on the Thursday before Memorial Day, and in the fall on the Thursday before Thanksgiving. The Chancery Court is honored to preside over this long-standing tradition of more than 100 years, and to keep the record of all of the resolutions that are received at the NBA Memorial Service. Each lawyer who passed during the year and is being memorialized today will be through a written resolution presented before this body and then entered upon the books and records of the Chancery Court, becoming part of the permanent records. As we listen to the resolutions today, we will be reminded of each lawyer's professional career, their accomplishments, and their service within our community. And we will also hear just a little bit about their personal lives, their families, and their special interests. At every service, I am often surprised and very appreciative to gain some new insight or learn some new fact about each attorney, even though we may have known them well during their legal careers. As we listen today, I hope we will be reminded of their friendly smiles, our shared laughter, their firm handshakes, the warm hugs, and their kind words. May we hold all of those memories close. For our remembrances today, a colleague of each lawyer will come forward to present the memorial resolution and move for its admission into the Chancery Court records. The presenters are invited to either come up to this lectern or to the microphone next to Keith Turner, seated to my left, whichever is more comfortable for you. The court will reserve ruling on the motions until all of the resolutions are presented. After the memorial service is concluded, we invite everyone to join us downstairs for a reception, luncheon, and for fellowship. Now I am pleased to recognize Joe Hubbard, our current president of the Nashville Bar Association.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joseph Hubbard, and I have the honor and privilege to serve as president of the Nashville Bar Association. We gather today in solemn gratitude and deep respect to honor the lives and legacies of distinguished members of our association. We extend a heartfelt welcome to their families and loved ones, their colleagues and friends, members of the judiciary and the bar, elected officials and community leaders, and to all who join us here today in remembrance. I want to recognize and thank Chancellors Martin, Moskal, Miles, and Perkins of the Chancery Court of Davidson County, and our Clerk and Master, Maria Salas, for holding this special session. I also thank the Memorial Committee, led by Keith Turner, who spends many, many hours throughout the year putting on this special event. All of you here today honor our Bar Association by being present. Your presence is a testament to the impact these attorneys had not only for their clients and the causes they represented for many years, but also the institutions they strengthened and the community they faithfully served. These lawyers exemplified the highest ideals of our profession. Some answered the call to serve in our armed forces or devoted themselves to public and judicial service, and all gave generously of their time and talents to civic, charitable, and mentoring roles. This memorial service is one of my favorite events. Each year, lawyers I know are memorialized here, and I'm amazed to learn so much about them that I did not know in life. I also learn about lawyers that I wish I had known, and I marvel at their accomplishments in community service across decades, sometimes beginning in grade school and high school. This service gives us the opportunity to stop our busy lives and come together in mourning, gratitude, celebration, and in contemplation of how we can, in the years ahead, carry on the examples of leadership and service we will hear today. We honor and celebrate these lawyers' memory, and we thank you for being here. Thank you so much.
The memorial resolution for Lawrence Howard Hart. Lawrence Hart died Friday, December the 1st, 2023, at the age of 77. Lawrence was born in Mexico City, Mexico, to parents Hal and Dolores Hart. He is survived by his wife, Mary Jane Hart, son Jason Hart, daughter-in-law Sandra Hart, and grandchildren. Lawrence's father was an executive with the American Embassy, and Lawrence and his brothers grew up in South America. They all spoke Spanish and attended American preparatory schools. At the age of 16, Lawrence moved to Columbia, Tennessee to live with his Uncle Cam and Aunt Virginia and to attend the Columbia Military Academy. After graduating from high school, Lawrence attended the University of Tennessee and graduated with a degree in political science. After graduating from the University of Tennessee, Lawrence enlisted in the United States Army. He went to Fort Knox Armored Training Facility for basic training and training as a tank gunner, and then attended the Officer Candidate School. After earning his commission as an officer, Lawrence was assigned to serve as a company commander on the DMZ in South Korea. Lawrence was injured by shrapnel in his leg while serving in Korea. Lawrence returned to Fort Knox and served the remainder of his active duty as a company commander. After his discharge from active duty, Lawrence joined the Tennessee National Guard and retired as a major in the command staff at the Armory Drive Post in Nashville. Upon completion of his active duty in the Army, Lawrence attended the University of Tennessee School of Law, and after passing the bar, Lawrence worked as an attorney for the state of Tennessee for the Board of Pharmacy and the Department of Health. After leaving employment with the state of Tennessee, Lawrence was a solo practitioner for many years in Nashville, Tennessee. Lawrence lived in Englewood, historic Edgefield, and East Nashville for many years, and he was elected to serve District 8, what then was in the Englewood District, in the Metropolitan Nashville Council in 1995 and re-elected in 1999. Lawrence started a community improvement association in Englewood and worked on many projects to preserve historic sites and beautify his community. Lawrence restored a historic two-story Victorian home in Edgefield where he lived with his family for many years. Lawrence was a true gentleman with many talents and interests. He was an avid real estate investor and enjoyed restoring older homes. Lawrence enjoyed traveling with his family to South America, Europe, Alaska, and many other places. Lawrence was generous and kind. He and his wife sponsored several immigrants from Cuba, Korea, and China who wanted to share in the American dream and help these immigrants with housing, schooling, guidance, and support toward their goal of American citizenship. Lawrence loved his family, and above all would want to be remembered first and foremost as a good husband, a good father, and a good grandfather. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we honor the life, work, and legacy of our dear friend and colleague, Lawrence Howard Hart. And be it further resolved that we, the committee designated to memorialize the life and memory of Lawrence Howard Hart, respectfully move this Honorable Chancery Court that this resolution be accepted and spread upon the pages of the in memoriam book kept for that purpose in the clerk and master's office. The memorial resolution for Dorothy Starnes will be presented by Doug Pierce.
The National Bar Association takes this opportunity to remember Dorothy L. Starnes, who departed this life on November 21, 2020. Dorothy was one of the Nashville Bar's preeminent benefits attorneys, practicing primarily in the fields of pensions and employee benefits law. Dorothy was born in Franklin, Tennessee on November 1, 1950. She was survived by her high school sweetheart and husband, Robert C. Starnes, and also survived by her 2 daughters, 3 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. Early on, Dorothy developed an intense love for learning, which grew throughout her life. She was initially educated in the Williamson County schools. An interesting fact that many of her fellow attorneys did not know is that while in high school, she was a majorette in the high school marching band. After high school, Dorothy attended Meharry Medical College, earning a degree in nursing and becoming a licensed practical nurse. During her time as a nurse, however, she dreamed of becoming an attorney. And in furtherance of that dream, she enrolled at Kansas State University, ultimately earning a degree in business administration and labor relations. And thereafter, she attended the Cecil C. Humphreys School of Law at Memphis State University and served on the Law Review and became the articles editor of that publication. And then after graduating from law school, she clerked for the Honorable Robert M. McRae Jr., the Chief U.S. District Judge for the Western District of Tennessee. And additionally, she served as a legal writing instructor at Memphis State University School of Law in 1987. Thereafter, Dorothy accepted an offer as an associate position with the firm of Bond, Schoeneck, and King in Syracuse, New York. And she began practicing law at that location. And soon thereafter, her supervising partner informed her that someone in the firm needed to learn employee benefits law, and they had decided that she would be that someone. And so she therefore took it upon herself to learn pension law and other issues governed by the Employee Benefits, the Employee Retirement Income Security Act, as well as tax law and other legislation related to employee benefits. On a more personal note, one of Dorothy's fellow attorneys at the Syracuse firm remembered her fondly in a comment on her online memorial guest book, stating that they were in offices next to one another and they frequently went to lunch with one another, and that Dorothy's favorite thing to order at lunch was mac and cheese, always asking the server if it was cheesy enough today. In 1994, King & Ballou recruited Dorothy precisely because of her experience and knowledge in pension and employee benefits law. Dorothy accepted King & Ballou's offer in 1984 and returned to the Nashville area, becoming a senior associate attorney in King and Blue's Tax and Employment Benefits section. Dorothy proved herself more than up to the task, expertly handling with minimal supervision jobs in that area of law, so much so that in 1998 she became a partner in the firm and ultimately the head of the employee benefits section of the firm. Dorothy's practice areas included pension law, ERISA compliance, employee welfare benefits, business law, and tax law. She counseled clients in the private, the nonprofit, and government sectors. Her pension law work expanded into the areas of multi-employer pension plan withdrawal liability assessment reviews, an area requiring knowledge of actuarial calculations, and one handled by a few other attorneys in Tennessee. Dorothy was awarded the Martindale-Hubbell's preeminent AV peer review rating. Whereas Dorothy L. Starnes valued her legal education as a foundation and means not only to achieve her own personal goals in life, but also to prepare her to better serve her community, and whereas Ms. Starnes considered her legal profession to be one of the highest callings to which one could aspire, as well as a privilege and an honor, now, therefore, be it resolved by the Nashville Bar Association that we honor and solemnly express our profound sorrow at the passing of, but also profound appreciation and gratitude for the life and work of our friend Dorothy L. Starnes. And further be it resolved that this memorial resolution be accepted and spread upon the pages of the in memoriam minute book kept for that purpose by the Chancery Court for Davidson County, Tennessee, and that copies of this resolution be furnished to members of Dorothy's family.
The memorial resolution for Ronald Don O'Donnelly will be presented by Joe Johnston.
Ronald Don O'Donnelly was born in Shelbyville, Tennessee on December 20th, 1942. After growing up there, he attended Middle Tennessee State University, where he earned a BS degree in 1965. He went to work in Nashville for the Metropolitan Planning Commission, where he worked as a senior planning manager from 1970 until 1987. I met Don in 1971 when he was working at the commission. While he worked there, he earned a master's degree in areas of land use, zoning, and urban planning. During that employment, he also attended the Nashville School of Law, graduating and becoming a member of the bar in 1982. Shortly after Don began practicing, we worked together helping Laotian and Cambodian refugee communities incorporate 501c3 friendship associations, some of which are still active today. From 1988 to 1990, O'Donnelly served as office manager for Barta and Associates, where he served private clients by preparing zoning and subdivision proposals, appearing before boards and commissions on their behalf. From 1990 to 1998, Mr. O'Donnelly did legal work involving planning, building codes and zoning in Cumberland County and Fayetteville, North Carolina, Lauderville, Florida, Jefferson County, Missouri, and from 2001 to 2009, he did similar legal work for cities in Palm Beach, Daytona, Palm City Beach, and Miami areas of Florida, including Lake Park, Ormond Beach, South Miami, Bay County, and Cutler Bay. In 2009, Don returned to Nashville, where he practiced law and lived until his death on March 1st, 2024. During the period, his law practice expanded beyond his specialization in land use, zoning, and planning, in which he also taught at Scarrett College, which is now Scarrett Bennett Education Center, and Austin Peay, and published legal articles on these subjects. His practice after 2009 included domestic relations, personal injury, and workers' compensation. He continued his previous handling of immigration and asylum cases for immigrants from Laos, Vietnam, and Cambodia who were living in the area. These clients and friends included Kampang Siban Huang, who was a clerk for Judge Hamilton Gaydon for many years. As a lawyer, Don was a fierce advocate for his clients. When it came to metro zoning and land issues, he was the lawyer that other lawyers went to for help. Several years ago, Don developed a disabling vascular condition in his legs. He could barely stand, much less walk. He gained weight and weighed in at over 300 pounds. He was able to get around, however, on a motorized chair and continued to practice law out of his home office. What I admired most about Don was his courage in overcoming physical limitations caused by his disability. Not only did he receive clients in his home office, but he made court appearances by Zoom and occasionally in his motorized chair. Mr. O'Donnell was survived by his wife, Karen Jane O'Donnell, but she died shortly after his death. He had 3 children, Tara O'Donnell, Brian O'Donnell, and Catherine O'Donnell. Brian and Catherine are attorneys. Catherine lives in Florida. Brian and Tara O'Donnell, who was his firstborn daughter, reside in Nashville. Now therefore, be it resolved that we honor the life, work, and legacy of our dear friend and colleague, Ronald Don O'Donnell. Be it further resolved that we, the undersigned member of the committee designated to memorialize the life and memory of Ronald Don O'Donnell, respectfully move this Honorable Chancery Court for the 20th Judicial District of Tennessee that this resolution be accepted and spread upon the pages of the in memoriam book kept for that purpose, to the end that the memory of our friend and colleague will be forever perpetuated in the permanent record of the profession he served so well, and that thereof be furnished to his copy on this, the 20th date of November 2025. Thank you.
The memorial resolution for John E. Gilmore will be presented by Andrea Barak.
Good morning. I am very pleased and honored to offer this remembrance of my colleague and dear friend, John Gilmore. John grew up in the Philadelphia area, and after graduation from Swarthmore College, he earned his law degree from University of Pennsylvania in 1962 and joined the U.S. Marine Corps on the condition that he could defer his military service until after he passed the bar. His first job after graduation was the New York firm of Dewey Ballantyne, which hired him, even though they knew he would leave for the Marines 6 months later. John served honorably in the U.S. Marine Corps as a JAG officer from 1962 to 1966, and has fond memories of arguing court-martial cases and playing countless games of bridge with his fellow Marines in Okinawa and Vietnam. After military service, John returned to New York to the practice of law, and there he met his wife, Alice Dale Brannon. They married after a whirlwind romance, and as he would often say, little did either know that the future was to hold 6 children and a life in Nashville, Tennessee. He moved to Nashville not once, but twice. First in 1971, for a position as counsel to health affiliates, and then after an interlude back in Philadelphia, he moved again in 1984 when Phil Bredesen, who would later become our mayor, who was at that point with Health America, hired him as general counsel. After a few years and a corporate sale, he returned to private practice and joined the law firm of Dearborn and Ewing, which later merged into Bolt, Cummings, Connors, and Berry in 1992, and that is when I started working with John. John stayed with the firm as it merged and became the Nashville office of Bradley until his retirement. He represented many of his former colleagues at Hospital Affiliates and Health America as they founded and grew many of the companies that have made our city into a healthcare capital. John was very active in the Nashville community, serving as chairman of the board of University School of Nashville, where all 6 of his children graduated, as well as the Nashville Opera and the Nashville Philharmonic Orchestra. He was a devoted husband and father, a loyal presence at his children's activities, driving all over Tennessee to attend basketball games, soccer games, and math contests. I learned so much from him about being an engaged and loving parent and being an honorable and respectable and skilled corporate lawyer. From our many, many lunches when he would tell me all about his life and where I learned some of the little details that I've shared with you today. I know I will miss John and do miss John very much, and I know that many, many others will as well. And I would like to offer this remembrance to resolution to the Nashville Bar Association. Thank you.
The memorial resolution for Kevin Gene Steeling will be presented by Bill Young.
May it please the court. I'm actually presenting this memorial resolution on behalf of Judge Patsy Cottrell, who unfortunately has a stomach virus and couldn't be with us today. But I'm honored to present this memorial resolution on behalf of Patsy, myself, and my wife Jane for our good friend Kevin Steeling. Kevin passed away on May 25, 2024, at the age of 69. Leaving his family and many friends grateful for his having been part of their lives. Kevin was born and grew up in West Memphis, Arkansas, attended college at Memphis State University, where he graduated with a Bachelor of Philosophy degree and an exceptional record. He then attended Columbia University and earned a master's degree in philosophy. After program cuts derailed his plans to pursue a PhD in philosophy, Kevin decided to go to law school. He attended Boston College Law School and obtained his JD in 1983. After graduating from law school, Kevin returned to a warmer climate in Nashville, warmer climate than Boston. In 1983, he joined the office of the Tennessee Attorney General, where he had a long and distinguished career as a litigator, advisor, manager, and leader. He litigated in state and federal courts all over Tennessee and in the Sixth Circuit. In 2013, the Attorney General's office recognized him as a lawyer's lawyer by awarding him the William M. Leach Jr. Award. He retired from the office of Attorney General in 2016. Kevin was a person of keen intelligence who was also wise. He kept his fondness for philosophy and could quote ancient Greeks and rule Southerners with equal ease, everyone from Socrates to Andy Griffin. He was interested in many subjects, and his knowledge base was wide and deep. Kevin was respected by his colleagues, not just as a skilled trial lawyer, but also because of the unique person he was. He was generous with his support and wise counsel. He was a mentor and role model to younger lawyers and always demonstrated a measured approach and sound judgment. Kevin was also beloved by his friends and colleagues. He drew people to him. It was always a pleasure to spend time with Kevin. I don't recall an instance when I didn't leave Kevin's office with a smile on my face. He was that kind of friend and colleague. People laughed and enjoyed his stories about his wide-ranging escapades, his life adventures, and his famous Buke reel. But they also learned things because he knew so much about so many things. He was a source of knowledge, but more than that, also wisdom and grace gained through a thoughtful life. The lives of all of us who worked with Kevin were enriched by his presence, his generosity of spirit, his humor, his constant calm and positive attitude, and his unceasing quest for knowledge. He will be deeply missed by his friends and his colleagues. Therefore, be it resolved by the Nashville Bar Association that we honor the life and work of Kevin Gene Styling and mourn in his passing the loss of a caring spirit and a person who sought justice for all. Be it further resolved that this memorial resolution be placed in the permanent records of the Nashville Bar Association and entered in the in memoriam minute book of the Chancery Court of Davidson County, Tennessee, and that copies thereof be furnished to members of his family. Thank you very much. Thank you, Court.
The memorial resolution for Eugene Ward will be presented by Laura Smith.
May it please the court. Eugene Jean Mose Ward passed away in December 2024 at the age of 92. A man of unparalleled humor, creative storytelling, sharp wit, and boundless generosity, Gene left behind an enduring legacy through the organizations he served, his countless friends, and most of all, his devoted family. Gene was born in White Pine, Tennessee on September 28, 1932. He was proud of his hometown roots. At White Pine High School, he was both a multi-sport athlete and class president. He attended Lincoln Memorial University, working at the campus dairy and in the dining hall to pay his tuition. He went on to the University of Tennessee College of Law, graduating in 1959 and starting his practice in Morristown, Tennessee that year. He did a little bit of everything then, he said. In 1961, he joined the Public Service Commission, first as Assistant General Counsel, then General Counsel. He left in 1980 to run for a statewide position on the PSC. Following his unsuccessful bid, sadly, he joined, lucky for me, Nashville Electric Service in 1980. He retired in 2011 as General Counsel and Vice President, and he left a great legacy behind. Gene was a lifetime lover of country music. He had great relationships with some of the country's, of the genre's greats, true icons, Webb Pierce, Ernest Tubb, Lefty Frizzell, and Farron Young. He did some legal work for them, but he did some songwriting too. He was a proud member of ASCAP, the CMA, and he served even as general counsel for the Reunion of Professional Entertainers. Over the course of his life, he served the community in countless ways. And while he never sought accolades for his service, he certainly received them. My favorite, in 1976, he was honored by the Tennessee General Assembly with the naming of the Eugene Mose Ward Overpass on I-81 in Morristown. Gene cared deeply for people, and he loved his family completely. He was a father to 4 children, Judy, Sue, Johnny, and Kevin. And after Sue died unexpectedly of a brain aneurysm, he and his wife, Dot, lovingly raised her 2 boys. I see you guys back there, Greg and Shane. Following her passing, Jean found love again with Grammy Award-winning artist and Grand Ole Opry legend Jeannie Seely. They were married for 14 years. They had a large and loving family of grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-great-grandchildren. Those who knew Jean, and that was pretty much everyone, will fondly remember his wit, humor, and Jean-isms. He was larger than life, and his light will continue to shine in memories of his stories and laughter. Jean always said his life's motto was illegitimus non corporundum est. Don't let the bastards grind you down. And he never did. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we honor the life, work, and legacy of our dear friend and colleague, Jean Ward. Be it further resolved that we, Aubrey B. Harwell Jr., Aubrey B. Harwell III, C. Dewey Brandstetter Jr., Kent W. Cochran, and I respectfully move this honorable court that this resolution be accepted and entered in the in memoriam book kept for that purpose, and that the memory of our friend and colleague will be forever perpetuated, and that copies be provided to his family. Thank you.
The memorial resolution for Susie Piper McGowan will be presented by Perry Piper.
Good morning. I am Perry H. Piper, the brother of Susie Piper McGowan. For those of you who knew Susie, you know she'd appreciate the brevity of this resolution. Upon first meeting Susie, one had to be prepared for a barrage of questions that would make the most aggressive cross-examiner blush. And when you hit on a topic that she liked, well, pull up a chair. As she would quip about the lawyers she ensnared in that vortex, gee, I hope they weren't billing. Susie was a 1976 graduate of Forest High School, a 1984 graduate of MTSU, and as she said, undergrad was the best 8 years of her life, and a proud 1998 graduate of the Nashville School of Law. Susie loved and kept in touch with many of her NSL classmates. In fact, she had a mini reunion with several of them just months before her passing. Attending the NSL was a game changer for her. She loved lawyers and judges, and she loved being a lawyer. Upon graduation, she quickly found her niche, guardian ad litem cases through juvenile court. It was the perfect role for her. It satisfied her maternal and protective instincts, yet allowed her to release a little aggression occasionally. With nothing but a car, always used, a laptop, and a cell phone, she did well, while doing good. She was a favorite of many of the judges and would frequently be called upon for her services. Susie, like many of us, was almost an academician. She reveled in the study and practice of law. About a decade ago, she made a career change and went to work for the Hickman County Sessions and Juvenile Court as their Juvenile Youth Services Officer. True to form, she loved her court family and the many people, she would meet through her job. She retired from that job 2 months before she was diagnosed with cancer. Her family and friends can only express the utmost gratitude that she is being honored here today. Just as when I introduced her for admission into the Tennessee bar, this too is among the most important days of my life. Susie lived and loved large. To all those who knew her, weep not. She had a difficult, full, and wonderful life. She fought her cancer valiantly, even while knowing the ultimate outcome. On December 23rd, 2024, she completed her CLE for 2025. She passed away 11 days later. That, my good people, is how important being a lawyer was to her. When my brother Bill and sister Bunky asked her why she was doing her CLE, she answered, "You never can tell." Susie always had a smile. Her sense of humor was precise and edgy. She enjoyed hearing a funny story as much as telling one. To paraphrase legendary Oilers coach Bum Phillips' statement regarding the greatness of Earl Campbell, if she wasn't the funniest person on the planet, it don't take them long to call the roll. As funny as she was even more loving and other-centered. We have missed her much. Your Honors, we would move that this resolution be accepted and adopted. On behalf of her family and friends, I thank you again for this wonderful honor.
The memorial resolution for Charles Stephen Weaver will be presented by Rush Hicks.
I'm here to honor my friend Steve Weaver. Steve was one of the first Music Row lawyers I met when I moved to Nashville. Charles Stephen Weaver was 76, passed away peacefully on April 12, 2025, surrounded by family and dear friends. Steve was born in Knoxville in 1948. He's preceded in death by his parents, Helen and Charles Weaver, survived by his wife, Connie James Weaver, son, Lauren Mills of Phoenix, stepdaughter, Katie Moore of Los Angeles, brother, Barton Weaver of Bossier City, Louisiana, sister, Karen Singleton of Memphis, nephews and nieces, Hayden Weaver, Kirk Weaver, Lindsay Shelton, and Becky Aston, sister-in-law, Sharon Grubbs, his beloved dogs, Bubba and Leon, and we know that in heaven he's met by Missy, Phoebe, Buddy, and Bingo. Steve had a very successful 40-year career as an entertainment attorney, speaker, and educator in Memphis and Nashville. He represented recording artists, songwriters, record companies, music publishers, literary authors, film producers, record producers, and others in the entertainment industry. In his early years, he was also a musician, songwriter, guitar instructor, entertainment agent, and a regular member of several popular bands based in Memphis. After graduating law school, he relocated to Atlanta and was employed as assistant professor of the commercial music recording program at Georgia State. He then began his private practice in the early 80s with offices in Memphis and Nashville, and then in 1995, he moved to Nashville. He was a member of the American Bar, Tennessee Bar, Nashville Bar, Country Music Association, Academy of Country Music, Gospel Music Association, Copyright Society of the South, and Nashville Songwriters Association. During his years of practice, Steve wrote a book titled Entertainment Law Mentor, Negotiating Exclusive Songwriting Agreements, which was a how-to book about negotiating the large print, fine print, and everything in between commonly found in exclusive songwriting agreements. Steve provided readers with a template exclusive songwriting agreement and then explained what each paragraph meant. He listed, analyzed, and discussed important considerations in drafting an agreement and suggested negotiation points, solution, and language from both the perspective of the songwriter as well as the music publisher. When I found out about his death, I found my copy of the book. Steve was also a copyright consultant, speaker, and educator. He represented Hall of Fame songwriters, and what he learned about negotiation of exclusive songwriting agreements he shared in his book. Steve was a proud member of Alcoholics Anonymous for 36 years. He loved helping others and sharing his experience, strength, and hope. He fought a courageous battle with a rare form of Alzheimer's, and the family appreciated the wonderful care he received from Alive Hospice. Therefore, be it resolved that we, the undersigned, honor and express our appreciation for the life and work of our friend, Charles Stephen Weaver, giving gratitude for his life and mourning his death. Now, therefore, that the undersigned members of the committee designated to memorialize the life and death of Charles Stephen Weaver respectively make motion to this Honorable Chancery Court for the 20th Judicial District, that this resolution be accepted and spread upon the pages of the in memoriam book kept for that purpose, to the end that the memory of our friend and colleague will forever be perpetuated in the permanent record of the profession he served so long and so well. Thank you.
The memorial resolution for Thomas Pennington will be presented by David Scott.
May it please the court, today we honor the life of Thomas T. Pennington, a brilliant attorney, a generous mentor, and a kind, good-natured man. Tom passed away prematurely on June 6, 2025, at the age of 69, after a courageous battle with cancer. Born in New York City during his father's medical residency, but raised in Nashville, Tom spent nearly his entire life here in Nashville. He was able to walk to school from elementary school to the time he graduated at Vanderbilt Law. His only detour was to Bowdoin College in Maine. His upbringing in a household full of lively conversation shaped his sharp legal mind that we had come to admire. Over a 40-year career, Tom specialized in surety law, indemnity, and financial restructuring. He was known for his calm demeanor, lightning-fast wit, and the ability to distill complex legal issues into clear, actionable insights. He challenged assumptions, embraced complexity, and always believed in doing the right things the right way, even if he sometimes did them at the last moment. A true lawyer. Tom had a saying, unless the law specifically says you can't do that, there's room for interpretation and negotiation. That philosophy guided his work and inspired many young lawyers. He mentored generously, helped at any hour, and was a steady presence in times of crisis. Many attorneys credit their success to his guidance. Outside the office, Tom was a devoted husband to Kathy and a loving father to his children, Thomas and Molly. He loved history, travel, storytelling, good company, and a fine vodka martini. Whether exploring the world during his many trips or enjoying a cheeseburger with crispy fries and a Coke at lunch, Tom brought humor and curiosity to everything he did. I traveled with Tom for many years, and once on the streets of Prague, I noticed Tom on the street talking to a gentleman. The gentleman was very excited. I walked towards them and realized that the gentleman was not speaking English. I knew Tom didn't speak Czech or whatever the language was. So when the man concluded, Tom shook his hand, said goodbye, and I asked Tom, what was he talking about? Tom said, I have no idea, but he seemed keenly interested in telling me what it was, and so I thought I should listen. Tom will be deeply missed. He was respected by colleagues and opposing counsel alike, and remembered by colleagues as a shelter in the storm, a man on a mountain, and a master of complex legal negotiations. For many of us, Tom will be remembered simply as a good friend. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we honor Tom T. Pennington's life, work, and enduring legacy. We respectfully ask this honorable court to accept this resolution and preserve it in the in memoriam book with copies provided to his family. Thank you.
The memorial resolution for Dot Dobbins will be presented by Erwin Vinnick.
May it please the court. Dot Dobbins was born on July 17, 1947 in Bowling Green, Kentucky. After graduation from high school in Memphis, she attended Southern Methodist University, where she was exposed to the women's movement and the YWCA. After college, she worked in social services related positions. After these experiences, she decided to attend law school. In 1971, Dot entered Vanderbilt Law School as only one of 12 of 150 women in the class. For Dot, law school was a path through which she was able to engage in her passions of community service and support of women. Her legal and public advocacy accomplishments over her lifetime are a testament to her passions. As a lawyer, Dot provided legal assistance to low-income and vulnerable members of the community at the Legal Aid Society of Middle Tennessee, serving for a time as head of its family law unit. Dot was a recognized expert in family law. As general counsel for the Department of Human Services between 1987 and 1991, she worked on the passage of the Uniform Standard of Child Support Law. She was a founding member of the Lawyers Association for Women in Nashville and the Tennessee Lawyers Association for Women. And she helped draft the first order of protection legislation in Tennessee as lobbyist for the League of Women Voters. As a community advocate, Dot chaired the YWCA Board of Trustees and helped establish the first domestic violence shelter in Nashville. Committed to the nonviolent resolution of disputes, beginning in 2006, Dot was a trained facilitator with an organization called Alternatives to Violence Project, an international movement which offers experiential workshops that helps participants learn ways to diffuse conflict. She conducted an AVP exercise on the very day she died. One of my favorite stories that Dot shared with me was when she and her AVP facilitators in Nashville were engaged to work with a North Nashville organization focused on gun violence. The group consisted of young people living in the 37208 zip code. As Dot shared it with me, when she and her other facilitators, all gray-haired women, entered the room, they appeared to be out of place and older than the group that they were working with. By the end of the week, everyone was hugging and reveling in their positive experience they shared. This was the work that Dot found so very important. After leaving the Department of Human Services, she entered private practice, continuing until her retirement in 2015. Dot was a founding member of Germantown Commons, a co-housing community model intended to nurture a sense of neighborly bond among residents, which was the first of its kind in Tennessee. Dot's rich life was tragically cut short on June 8, 2025, when she was struck and killed by a vehicle while walking in a crosswalk in her neighborhood. Her untimely and accidental death has given rise to renewed efforts to increase street signage for the safety of pedestrians in Nashville. Dot was married to Paul Schrag in 1978 and cared for him until his death in 2008. Dot is survived by her daughter, Nan, son-in-law, Russell Gentry, and 4 grandchildren, Tristan, Kyler, Hosea, and Chase. She was a true pillar of the Nashville community, and her tragic loss was felt by many. I will miss her smile, her dry wit, her never-ending quest for peace, and her enthusiasm for life. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we honor the work and legacy of our dear friend and colleague, Dot Dobbins. Be it further resolved, and on behalf of myself and her partners, Jean Biasi and Erwin Kuhn, that we respectfully move the Honorable Chancery Court for the 20th Judicial District of Tennessee that this resolution be accepted and spread upon the pages of the In Memoriam book kept for that purpose, to the end that the memory of our friend Dot and colleague will forever be perpetuated in permanent record of the profession she so well served, and that copies be provided to her family.
The memorial resolution for Robert H. Lewis will be presented by Johnny Ellis.
Please, the court. Friends, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege and honor to give this memorial resolution on behalf of Robert H. Lewis and the family. I was privileged enough to practice law with Bob in our office with my dad and his son for the first 15 years of my practice and probably the last 15 years of his. And Bob gave me some advice I'm going to share with you, which may or may not apply. He said, Johnny, if you're going to drive an old car, you better drive two, because one of them is always going to break down. And that kind of exemplifies the kind of horse sense that Bob practiced law with and lived his life with. Bob was born in Bon Aqua, Tennessee, in Hickman County, just before World War II. He graduated from high school there, and after that he moved and attended Lipscomb College in Nashville, and lived in Nashville most of his life, but he always considered Hickman County and Bon Aqua his home, which is where he's buried. After he realized he was not going to be a pilot because he was 4F and couldn't get into the service, he started working with Newhoff Packaging and then worked as a claims adjuster for Travelers Insurance while attending what's now the Nashville School of Law. After graduating and passing the bar exam, he went to work with Dean Lackey and his firm, Stevenson and Lackey. And when they offered him a partnership, he said, well, he wanted to go out on his own. And with one file in his hand, he went and opened an office. And from the 70s through the 80s, he practiced in offices in the Chancery Building on Charlotte Avenue, and also in the Realtors Building on Gay Street. Now, both of those buildings are gone, like so many other colleagues. But the lessons and things that he taught and the cases he worked on remain. He worked with many lawyers and government institutions and things like that. During the decades of practice, and he practiced for over 50 years, he was primarily engaged with defense law and worked for the Hartford, and he used to always call himself a trial lawyer. He said, lawyers go into court and fight it out, while attorneys just sit in the office, look out the window, and pontificate about the law. Bob emphasized that in your law practice, your reputation is the most important thing you have, and you should guard it. He said that most of the problems, 99% of the problems that any lawyers have, can be resolved if you just answer your phone calls and always tell the truth, the court, the colleagues, and everyone. And I think that's good advice. Robert was a member in good standing of the Tennessee Bar, all the federal courts. Here in Nashville, he was a member of he was admitted to practice in front of the United States Supreme Court. And he was also very honored to be commissioned as honorary Chief Petty Officer for the Navy for the services he provided to the Navy Reserve here in Nashville. There's so much to say about Bob, Robert Harold, Robert Lewis, but I've only got 2 minutes. So therefore, be it resolved that we honor the life, work, and legacy of our colleague and my friend, Robert H. Lewis. Be it further resolved that this memorial resolution be placed in the permanent records of the association and entered in the memoriam and be placed in the Chancery Court of Davidson County, in the minute book of the Chancery Court for Davidson County, and the copies thereof be provided to his family. I thank you very much. Thank you.
The memorial resolution for William Lloyd Brooks will be presented by Bill Harbison.
May it please the court. This is the memorial resolution for William Lloyd Brooks. William Lloyd Brooks died on June 30, 2025 at age 83. He was preceded in death by his parents, John Hunter Brooks and Frances Harbison Brooks. He is survived by his wife of 57 years, Margaret Dorch Brooks, his daughter, Virginia Brooks Robinson of New Canaan, Connecticut, his son, William Brooks of Atlanta, Georgia, and 5 grandchildren. He is also survived by his brother, John Brooks III, his sisters, Betty Brooks and Carol Brooks Gallion, and his sister-in-law, Louise Dorch Green, as well as many nieces and nephews. Bill practiced law in Tennessee for over 55 years, beginning in 1966, both in private practice and also as in-house counsel for 2 different corporations. His early practice was with the Nashville firm of Trabue, Minnick, Sturtevant, and Harbison, and in later years he practiced at Waller, Lansden, Dorch, and Davis. He received his undergraduate degree from Vanderbilt University in 1963 and his law degree from the University of Virginia School of Law in 1966. He also earned a Master of Education degree from Vanderbilt University in Human Development Counseling in 1992. He served his country as a member of the Tennessee Air National Guard for 6 years, from 1966 to 1972. In addition to his Bar Association memberships, Bill was a member of the Nashville Bar Foundation and often performed pro bono legal work. In 1999, he was awarded the Nashville Bar Association's Volunteer of the Year Award for his services benefiting indigent clients. Bill also served as judge of the Belmead City Municipal Court for approximately 10 years, beginning in 2006. Aside from his work as a lawyer and judge, Bill had a special talent in utilizing his counseling degree to assist others with their psychological issues. Bill enjoyed reading, golf, and traveling, especially traveling to visit his children, Virginia and Will, and his 5 grandchildren. One of Bill's greatest pleasures was weekends spent with family and friends at the family cottage in Mount Eagle, Tennessee. Bill adored his family and especially enjoyed telling stories and sharing life lessons with them and their friends. He had a quick wit and a keen ability to assign nicknames, and in return he earned the nicknames Big Dude and Poppy. To his cousins and the many members of his large extended family, he was Cousin Billy and a constant presence in their lives. Bill could dance as well as he wanted to, and when he broke out on the dance floor with his famous rubber legging, people would often circle around to watch and at times even applaud. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we honor the life, work, and legacy of our dear friend and colleague, William Lloyd Brooks. Be it further resolved that we, the undersigned members of the committee, designated to memorialize the life and memory of William Lloyd Brooks, respectfully move this honorable court that this resolution be accepted and spread upon the pages of the in memoriam book kept for that purpose, to the end that the memory of our friend and colleague will forever be perpetuated in the permanent record of the profession he served so well, and that copies thereof be furnished to his family.
The memorial resolution for William Leonard Underhill will be presented by Mike Underhill.
Good morning. I am Michael Underhill, one of the attorney's sons of Nashville trial lawyer William L. Underhill. Mr. Turner, you may start the clock. And who was William Leonard Underhill? Well, for starters, he was a proud native Nashvilleian, which gets rarer by the day. Born in 1934 to a machinist, William Henry Underhill, and a homemaker, Marie Jewel Underhill. He would later have a younger sister on his 5th birthday, my Aunt Marilyn, which always made birthdays fun. They lived right off of 8th Avenue on Argyle Street and what is now currently I-65 heading south. He went to grade school at the historic Fall School, which still stands today on 8th Avenue South, currently the Scientology Center. He was the first in his family to graduate from high school, graduating in 1951 from West High School, now West Middle School, where he played football and was known as Little Tuffy. Upon graduation from high school, my grandfather had an assembly job waiting for him at Avco Aviation over by the airport. However, he respectfully declined because he wanted to see what would exist for him outside of Davidson County. Which leads me to my next point. Dad was somebody that always wanted more out of life. So after a brief collegiate stint at Austin Peay State University, he enlisted in the United States Navy in 1953 and became an accomplished fighter pilot of the McDonnell Douglas A-4 Skyhawk attack aircraft. He continued his Navy career through the Naval Reserve until his retirement in 1973, attaining the rank of commander. Dad was a lover of knowledge through education and utilized his military career to obtain a bachelor's degree in history from Tufts University in Boston in 1959 and a law degree from Vanderbilt University in 1962. He was the only member of his family to obtain a college degree, and he would continue that love of knowledge through his 50-year law career from 1962 through 2012. Dad was a tireless, zealous person for his family, for his friends, and for his local community, and he was a tireless, zealous advocate for his clients and the practice of law. He loved the nobility of the practice of law and the continuing legal education and practical education that came with it, and for the most part, he loved the collegiality of his brother and sister lawyers. If you had a case with Dad or against Dad, you knew which side of the fence you stood on. And as my esteemed brother, William R. Underhill, eloquently stated in a previous memorial service, Dad could also be a quote-unquote weapons-grade ass chewer. Those were his words, not mine, so please assess the fine to my brother and not me. Thank you. In spite of this, after practicing law for only 10 years, he had earned the respect of his brother and sister lawyers across the state of Tennessee to be elected their president of the Tennessee Trial Lawyers Association for the 1973-1974 year. Dad was a lover of life, and I presume that came from wrecking a couple of airplanes in the Navy, ejecting out of a couple of airplanes in the Navy, and also trying to land a plane on a moving aircraft carrier, as one would think would make you a lover of life. His many life interests included, but were not limited to, travel, golf, photography, reading historical novels, watching his children and grandchildren's sporting events, spending time with family and friends, mentoring the less fortunate, and of course, Vanderbilt University and the University of Tennessee Athletics, to name a few. Dad realized you had to work hard, but you also had to enjoy life hard as well. And lastly, he was, and most of all, he was a good person. He didn't always get it right, but he tried hard. Once you were able to get past Dad's hardened exterior, I was able to personally witness over the last 54 years that he could be loving, loyal, kind, trusting, bold, honest, confident, dependable, courageous, empathetic, generous, responsible, decisive, determined, focused, disciplined, I'm almost done, thoughtful, strong, genuine, intelligent, humorous, and resilient. In short, he was a man's man, a lawyer's lawyer, and in the words of Chancellor Ellen Hobbs Lyle, larger than life. To me, he was a great person, father, mentor, and friend. And while I may be guilty of parental bias, let me leave you with a couple of short stories of what other attorneys said to me about him. Story number one. I was at a Christmas party talking to a circle of lawyers, and an insurance defense lawyer decided to join our group. One of the other attorneys asked that insurance defense lawyer, "Hey, do you know Bill Underhill?" And he said, "Oh yeah, dark complected, arrogant, and always wears a three-piece suit." And the first lawyer said to that insurance defense lawyer, "Well, let me introduce you to his son, Mike, right here." Needless to say, that insurance defense lawyer quickly extricated himself from the group. Second story, I was at Richland Country Club for a law school function, and I was noticing that an attorney was looking at me and kind of looking at my name tag. And finally, he came over to me and asked me if I was Bill Underhill's kid. Typically, when somebody would ask me that, I would always preface it by saying, yes, and please don't hold that against me. And he stated to me, well, if I was ever in a barroom fight, I would want your father with me. And then he just slowly walked away. Dad, I love you, I respect you, I admire you, and I miss you. And I want to thank you for always seeking more out of your life. And I would respectfully request that my father's resolution be accepted and approved. Thank you.
The memorial resolution for Thomas Jefferson Drake will be presented by Henry Martin.
It's my privilege to present this resolution to the Assembly here and to the court. It was drafted by 10 members of the Criminal Justice Act panel of attorneys who served along with Tom, still do serve. Tom, of course, doesn't. They're hand-selected by the district court judges to provide representation to individuals who can't afford counsel in a criminal case and where there's a conflict with the Federal Public Defender's Office. Thomas Jefferson Drake Jr. passed away quietly on the morning of July 8, 2025 at the age of 74. Tom was born in Texarkana, Arkansas on March 13, 1951, the son of Margaret Irene Drake and Thomas Jefferson Drake Sr. He is survived by his beloved wife of 54 years, Ruth Ann Drake, the 3 sons, Thomas, Thaddeus, and Trenton, and grandchildren, and their grandchildren, 10 grandchildren, and his siblings, David Drake and Laura Mae Bishop. Tom graduated from Bellevue High School in 1969 and went on to attend the University of Tennessee, where he earned a Bachelor of Science in Communications, focusing on radio and television. Following his graduation, Tom worked as a radio announcer in Georgetown, South Carolina, demonstrating his lifelong love for music and communication. Dedicated to education and professional growth, Tom returned to Nashville and earned an MBA from Tennessee State University in 1983, and then graduated from the Nashville School of Law in 1988, subsequently establishing his solo law practice, where he served the community for 37 years. As an attorney, Tom believed his greatest service was his commitment to being helpful and offering the best legal advice possible. His dedication to the legal profession was recognized by his admission to practice before the Supreme Court of Tennessee, the U.S. Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals, and the United States Supreme Court. He was a long-standing member of both the Nashville Bar and the Tennessee Bar Associations. Additionally, the Federal Public Defender's Office and the Criminal Justice Act panel honored him with the St. Crispin's Day Award in 2005 and the Panel Lawyer of the Year Award in 2007, reflecting outstanding service to the indigent defense. I have to give you a footnote on the St. Crispin's Day Award. That refers to a speech in Henry V, where he is trying to rally the few remaining troops for the next day's battle with the French, and how all he wants are those who are ready to die for their king and ready to fight for their brothers. As I was presenting that award, I was reading from Shakespeare the speech. It's really an extraordinary speech, and I looked down, and Tom was sitting at the table next to the podium, and he was mouthing it word for word from memory. He was really an incredible person. Tom was a true pillar of his community, actively involved in many civic organizations. He was a past president, past district director, and director of the Bellevue Exchange Club. He was a charter member of Bellevue Presbyterian Church, where he faithfully served as both a deacon and an elder, and was a committed member of the church choir. He was a man of many passions, including his love for working on cars, especially MGs, woodworking, cooking, renowned for his homemade apple pies, and music, often playing the violin or fiddle. His family and friends will fondly remember his smiles, laughter, historical knowledge, and his daily treasured encouragement. Something good is going to happen to you today. Above all, he cherished his family. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we honor the life, distinguished legal career, and enduring legacy of our dear friend, colleague, and community servant, Thomas Jefferson Drake, Jr. Be it further resolved that the undersigned members of the committee designated to memorialize the life and memory of Thomas Jefferson Drake, Jr. respectfully move this Honorable Chancery Court for the 20th Judicial District of Tennessee that this resolution be accepted and spread upon the pages of the in memoriam book kept for that purpose, and to that end, the memory of our friend and colleague will forever be will be preserved among his profession that he served so well. On behalf of David Cooper, David Comazar, Jennifer Thompson, John Oliva, Kim Hottie, Kerry Haymaker, David Hero, Robert Parrish, Stephanie Gore, and Larry Arnkoff.
The memorial resolution for Campbell Steele will be presented by Chenault Sanders. By Jim Berry.
May it please the court, I'm Jim Berry. Chenault Sanders came down with the flu and was unable to attend this morning, and I'll read the resolution prepared by Chenault, who was a good friend of Campbell. A native of Nashville, descended from a First Tennessee family, Campbell Steele grew up in Westmead, attending St. Paul Christian Academy, the University School of Nashville, and Brentwood Academy, where he was a member of a championship football team. He was predeceased by his father, James DeWitt Carter Steele, and his mother, Peggy Campbell Steele. Campbell's roots ran deep in Tennessee and Nashville. His maternal great-grandfather, Hal H. Campbell Sr., founded the Standard Candy Company, maker of the beloved Goo Goo Cluster, an enduring symbol of Nashville's cultural identity. His paternal great-grandfather, Judge Thomas Wardlow Steele, was a Davidson County Chancellor. The landmark constitutional case, Baker v. Carr, which shaped American democracy, was originally before Chancellor Steele, whose opinion was cited and adopted by Justice William Brennan, Jr. in his landmark dissent. The ruling remains one of the most important legal precedents regarding voting rights and equal representation, and established the principle of one person, one vote. Campbell earned a marketing degree at the University of Tennessee in Knoxville and a law degree at the University of Memphis before returning to Nashville and beginning his career in real estate law at Stites and Harbison, where he practiced in the real estate group and became a partner. Later, he joined Reno and Kavanaugh, where he specialized in complex partnership and debt structures, particularly for affordable housing projects in opportunity zones across the nation. He was recognized in Best Lawyers in America and Mid-South Super Lawyers. After Campbell took some time away from the practice to work on himself amid his lifelong struggle with addiction and depression, he left large firm law practice. In 2013, after Campbell had found a degree of sobriety, Campbell joined Blackbird Capital, LLC as general counsel and later as principal. As many successes as Campbell had, there is more to his story, just as there is more to everyone's story. There is something deeply human and profoundly respectful to honor a man exactly as he was, flaws and all, because despite his many accomplishments, Campbell had a tormented soul. Like too many in our profession, he turned to alcohol in difficult times and allowed it to consume his state of mind. He struggled in silence, perhaps believing, as many do, that he always had to appear strong, composed, and in control. A revealing study by the American Bar Association and the Hazelton Betty Ford Foundation found that 21% of licensed employed attorneys qualify as problem drinkers, compared to about 6% of the general population. Though it's clear this is an issue many in this profession face, it is only ever discussed in hushed tones as rumor. It is rarely addressed openly, and help is seldom encouraged or accessible in the workplace. The stigma surrounding mental health and addiction remains deeply ingrained in the culture of this profession. Lawyers are often seen as those who have all the answers. They are ones who others turn to for guidance and help. So when they themselves are struggling, they often don't know who to turn to. Campbell died during a relapse and never fully escaped his demons. Yet his life, rich with success, security, friendship, and love, should not be defined solely by his struggle, but by the light it sheds on others who may be suffering in silence. If Campbell's legacy can help even one attorney seek help without shame, speak openly about their struggles, or find recovery and peace, then his life will continue to make a difference. In this way, his final gift to us all may be to help break the stigma. We remember Campbell for his brilliance, endless generosity, tall tales, and the way he saw the good in everyone, even when he could not see it in himself. Let us honor him by helping others that share his struggles live the full, unburdened lives they deserve. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we honor the life, work, and legacy of our dear friend and colleague, Campbell Steele. Be it further resolved that these resolutions be spread upon the pages of the in memoriam book kept for that purpose, and that copies there be furnished to his family.
The memorial resolution for Robert Joseph Olson will be presented by Sarah Sedgwick.
Few people view their whole lives, both prospectively and retrospectively, as a great adventure. But Bob Olson did just that. From his childhood in Brooklyn to his service in the United States Marine Corps as an infantry officer in Korea, and from his work for United Airlines to the inception of his broadcasting career in Mississippi and Alabama before he landed at WSM-TV in 1960, Bob always looked forward to his next challenge. Is it any wonder then that after nearly 15 years as a weatherman and reporter on the Consumer Protection Beat had piqued Bob's interest in the law and impelled him bravely to resign from WSM to enter Vanderbilt Law School? Bob saw even more exciting vistas stretched before him. One early adventure, even before law school, was his creation of the Golden Odyssey Travel Club. Since an odyssey is a long and eventful or adventurous journey or experience, perhaps that was a metaphor for Bob's entire life. Other escapades included becoming a glider pilot, a left-handed competitive tennis player, driving a sporty yellow car, and running for political office. I first knew Bob as a first-year law student. He was something of a curiosity because he was much older than the rest of us, and yet we had to admire his handsome elegance, his recent television fame, and his genteel kindness. Bob went on to practice law in a private firm and later enjoyed a career in Tennessee state government as the executive director of the State Health Planning Authority before he pivoted to become in-house counsel for Park Health Management. During his long and varied work life, he earned the continued respect of his colleagues and fellow attorneys who considered him one of the most professional, gentlemanly, well-liked, and affable persons ever. Yet still he found time for many avocations, including being an avid photographer, world traveler, and lover of electronics, to include volunteering to wire his friends' high-fidelity and home theater systems. And of course, he devoted his full measure of love to his family, and especially to his beloved daughter Kirsten, his grandson John, his brothers Richard and Don, his dear friend Wanda, and all his many friends and loved ones, far and near. Several years ago, I saw a small notice in the Tennessean announcing Bob's 90th birthday. Since he had made such a lasting impression on me, I sent him a birthday card. He responded with a warm note that evinced not only his bedrock kindness, but also his forward-looking, adventurous attitude toward life. He wrote, "I'm well and happy and grateful for each new day. Some advice: don't dwell on yesterdays. Be excited about tomorrow." Now, after his passing, I keep thinking about his contented cheer and life satisfaction, for which Robert Louis Stevenson's poem, Requiem, seems a fitting coda. Under the wide and starry sky, dig the grave and let me lie. Glad did I live and gladly die, and I laid me down with a will. This be the verse you graved for me. Here he lies where he longed to be. Home is the sailor, home from sea, and the hunter, home from the hill. Therefore, be it resolved that we, the members of the Nashville Bar Association, with both grief at his passing and gratitude for his full, well-lived life, do hereby recognize Robert Joseph Olson as an invaluable and esteemed member of our profession, and we look to his life as a template and to his death as an example of a well-deserved homegoing. Be it further resolved that this memorial resolution be placed in the permanent records of the Nashville Bar Association and entered in the in memoriam minute book of the Chancery Court for Davidson County, and that copies of this memorial resolution be furnished to Robert Joseph Olson's family.
The memorial resolution for Judge Bill Higgins will be presented by Jim Higgins.
Morning. Judge William Bill Higgins' dad passed away on August 11th, 2025, leaving behind a legacy of kindness, service, and good humor. He was a third-generation Nashvilleian and the unofficial mayor of West Nashville. Bill's deep love, or Dad's deep love for his community and family was evident in everything he did. His family, whose names and faces lit up his world, will carry his memory forever. After graduating from Cone High School, where he was elected president of the student body and voted most likely to succeed, Dad attended Vanderbilt University, joining the ROTC program before proudly serving in the United States Army. Following his military service, he returned to Nashville, began working at National Life Insurance Company while earning a law degree from the YMCA Knight Law School and raising a family with his wife, my mom, Janice. He started a law practice at 46th in Charlotte, served West Nashville with heart and integrity for more than a decade. After his service as Metro Councilman for the District 24, spanning 3 terms, he was elected in 1980 to serve as judge of Division 7 in the Davidson County General Sessions Court. As a judge, Dad strived to make Nashville a better place, always explaining his rulings with care, compassion. He felt it was important for every litigant to understand the reasoning behind his decisions, regardless of whether they agreed with the outcome. And for those who did disagree, he often said to them with a smile, "Remember, you have an automatic right to appeal me, and the higher you go, the smarter the judges get." As a man of infectious charm, Dad's love for people shone through in countless ways. He helped others find jobs, get into law school, and simply just feel valued. He had a legendary appetite for food despite his small stature and ensured no gathering, nobody went hungry. His passions for fishing, golf, dancing, and family meals filled his life with joy. Known for officiating weddings with a wink and the line, "I don't tie no slip knots," he brought laughter wherever he went. He was a steadfast supporter of the Youth Encouragement Services, YES, and the Rochelle Center, dedicating its time and resources to uplifting youth and those with special needs. Dad shared more than 60 years of marriage with his beloved wife, Janice, whose love and partnership were central to their lives, his life. Together they raised 3 kids, Julie, Jill, and me, Jim, and built a family he cherished deeply as a husband, father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. In a recent past few years' birthday speech, Dad shared what his wisdom was that guided his life. What he said was the secret to life. He said, "Don't take yourself too seriously. Be good to people and smile." Right? His wit, warmth, and example of this service will continue to inspire all who knew him. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we honor the life, work, and enduring legacy of our dear friend, colleague, and dad, Judge William Bill Higgins. And I hereby move this resolution be accepted by this honorable court and entered into the in memoriam book.
The memorial resolution for Clark Hickman Tidwell will be presented by Tom White.
May it please the court, it's my privilege to introduce the memorial resolution for Clark Hickman Tidwell. Clark Tidwell passed away peacefully on August 23, 2025 at home from Parkinson's disease. He was 87. Born on April 29 of 1938, he was raised in Centerville, Tennessee. He was the son of Paul Hickman Tidwell, Hazel Uree Tidwell. He was a member of Centerville United Methodist Church and attended Hickman County High School. As a Sigma Chi at Vanderbilt, he met Ann Campbell Dodson on the first day as a freshman and pinned her before he left to serve in the U.S. Marine Corps. In Okinawa, he continued on and became the rank of captain. To ensure the love of his life would still be waiting for him when he got home, he proposed by sending an engagement ring through the mail. Obviously, that was the mail at the time, a little more routine. In 1962, they married, and Ann supported him while he attended and completed Vanderbilt Law School in 1965. As a partner in his law firm, Mr. Tidwell built a formidable career in eminent domain law, where he helped shape communities across Tennessee, balancing progress with fairness in complex land disputes. He practiced law until he passed. An ardent outdoorsman, Mr. Tidwell found solace and joy in nature. He was an avid hiker, whitewater canoeist, and passionate environmentalist. A member of the Tennessee Scenic Rivers Association for 58 years, he enjoyed adventures with friends and family on rivers across the country, highlighted by solo canoeing the Grand Canyon. His commitment to environmental preservation was profound. He was instrumental in saving Radnor Lake from development, founding the Friends of Radnor Lake in his living room with Ann and others. He instilled a love of the outdoors in his sons and his grandchildren. Known for his positive outlook, Mr. Tidwell, a Rotarian, approached life with a rare blend of humor and wisdom. Friends and colleagues often spoke of his mischievous grin, which was disarming. Even in the most serious moments, he was a storyteller, a guide, and a man who never met a stranger. His life was marked with laughter, love, and an enduring connection to the land and people he held dear. One of the very remarkable attributes of Clark, both personally and professionally, which many of the lawyers in this room experienced, was that he was always well respected and became close to many of the attorneys who were with him and often on the opposite side.
In addition to his wife Ann, Mr. Tidwell was survived by his sons, Paul Hickman Tidwell, Jenny, his wife, Howard Dobson Tidwell, his wife Kelly, and his 4 grandchildren, Campbell Lynn Tidwell, Howard Hickman Tidwell, Davis Dobson Tidwell, and Miriam Ann Tidwell. Therefore, be it resolved by the Nashville Bar Association that we honor the life and work of Clark Hickman Tidwell and mourn his passing, the loss of a keen mind and dedicated and caring spirit. This resolution was prepared by me, Doug Bates, and Jim Fisher. Be it further resolved that this memorial resolution be placed in the permanent records of the association and entered in the in memoriam minute book of the Chancery Court of Davidson County, and that copies thereof be furnished to the members of his family. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you to all of the presenters for those heartfelt and eloquent memorial resolutions. The Chancery Court is both privileged and honored to grant each motion and accepts the memorial resolutions presented as part of the Chancery Court's permanent records. The Nashville Bar Association, by tradition, will provide copies of the memorial resolutions to the families of each lawyer. Again, I invite you to join us downstairs in Fellowship Hall for a luncheon reception, and the Chancery Court special session is now adjourned. Thank you.